The higher the cultivation, the more powerful goo worms can be driven in the next 3 months. Whoever can be the first to advance to the intermediate level of the first enhancement will receive a reward of 30 essence stones. At the same time, a class leader and 2 vice class leaders will be established based on performance, and their allowances and treatment will be enhanced at that time. Moon Liam finally regained a hint of rationality. Taking a few deep breaths completely calmed down. Elder is right. I can't let my emotions cloud my judgment, so I won't resort to any tricks anymore. I will defeat you fair and square, and from now on, my brother will have to bow down to me whenever he sees me. After Elder finished speaking, it also meant the end of this lesson. Moon Michael wants to find Levi in person to ask for clarification. However, Levi had already left ahead of time. He and Cameron could only curse silently in their hearts. Unexpectedly, Levi didn't leave. Instead, he was leaning against the entrance of the academy. A class leader and 2 vice class leaders positioning themselves have made them eager to compete. Little do they know, it's all just a tool for those in power. All organizations. Their purpose is nothing more than one thing. That is resources. At this time, young people are coming out of the academy one after another. They felt very unhappy when they saw Levi's cool appearance. They made mocking remarks and pulled faces one after another. Little did they know that Levi was not going to indulge them today. They panicked immediately after being beaten. But still, they gritted their teeth and scolded loudly. However, the sound was clearly not as loud as before. Levi took a step forward. I am in a good mood today. Each person must hand over an essence stone before they can leave. The young men were shocked and angry. Levi, are you out of your mind? How dare you stand at the entrance of the academy and extort us? He was cursing with his mouth when he suddenly received a heavy blow to his lower body. He immediately curled up on the ground wailing in pain. The crowd exploded. However, they had not yet started. He took a couple of steps forward and charged into the crowd. Levi just has 500 years of battle experience, while these young people are just a group of inexperienced youngsters. In the blink of an eye, these young people were all knocked down by Levi. Levi twisted his ankle slightly, gently turned aside, and reached out his hand. Each of you needs to give me an essence stone, or don't blame me for not holding back, he said. Moon Michael just walked out of the academy and saw this scene immediately. He straightened his neck and shouted. He raised his index and middle fingers and poked Michael's throat. Levi's attack had not stopped yet. Those who were knocked down by him were either unconscious or in intense pain. Levi took a step forward. He said, Surrender or not surrender? The guards looked concerned and glanced at the academy elder. Isn't he going to stop him? What if it comes to casualties? The academy elder only observed from afar on the tower, and showed no intention of stopping him. Someone below is getting anxious and wants to mobilize Moon Goo for countermeasures. Levi coldly reminded them that the use of goo worms for fighting is not allowed in the academy. Otherwise, they would be expelled. Have you forgotten? The girls hesitated. It is indeed a rule. The blue light in their hands gradually dissipated. Levi spotted this loophole. He suddenly rushed forward and skillfully knocked down 2 of them. The last person left lost their fighting spirit. They collapsed to the ground with weak knees. She cried with tears streaming down her face, pleading repeatedly to Levi. Levi, looking down on the young girl from above, slowly reached out his hand and said, An essence stone! The girl's delicate body trembled. She quickly took out 3 or 4 pieces of essence stone and held them in her palm. Please don't hit me! I'll give them all to you. Levi's expressionless face slowly reached out his right hand from the girl's hand, gently took a piece of essence stone, and then said faintly, I said I would only take 1. You can go now. At this time, the guard upstairs really couldn't bear to watch. Elder, he is really too bold, daring to extort openly in front of us. As long as you give the order, The subordinates will go and take him down. Academy Elder just smiled lightly twice. It's okay. He handles things appropriately. It won't cause a major disaster. Instead, it benefits the growth of the students. The more he looks, the more he feels that Levi is very much to his taste. He is truly a talented and gifted child. It's a pity that he is only in grade 3. The guard said again, but he is just too arrogant. He simply doesn't regard us guards highly at all. Elder's face darkened like water. Regard you highly? You don't even have the Moon surname. What makes you think you're anything special? I gave you the position of guards because I see your loyalty. I rewarded you with some benefits. Don't forget, you are nothing but our servants. No matter how minor they are, if they are surnamed Moon, they are still your masters. A servant dares not to speak ill of their master. The guards were all pale with fear. They all knelt down and kowtowed repeatedly. Academy Elder snorted coldly, pointing at the leader of the guards, who had just said that Levi was making a commotion. You dare to criticize the master. Strip him of his position as leader. In half a month, there will be a new assessment for the position of leader. The other guards' eyes lit up instantly. They were suddenly filled with excitement. If they could become the new leader of the guards, they would be able to earn an extra half an essence stone each month and even gain a higher status. At this moment, the elder scolded. What are you all doing here? Get down there and clean up the area. The elder snorted coldly in his heart. Servants are just like dogs, itching for a beating every now and then. Using both the stick and the carrot is the only way for those in power. Soon, the last group of students arrived, including Levi's young brother. Brother, how could you do this? They are all our classmates, you know. Levi said lightly. What you said makes sense. But everyone should have their own essence stone, otherwise, they will bear the consequences themselves. Liam opened his mouth in surprise. What? Even I have to pay? Levi's tone was unexpectedly gentle. My dear young brother, of course you don't have to pay. Liam sighed in relief. He thanked and then wanted to leave. Unexpectedly, Levi's tone changed. If you don't want to end up like them, I suggest you better be honest, he said. As he spoke, a sudden knife-hand strike appeared in front of Liam. The speed was so fast that he couldn't react in time. Levi said coldly, Don't make me repeat myself a second time. Liam could do nothing more. He gritted his teeth and handed over the essence stone. The people around didn't even spare Levi's younger brother. Following the principle of not suffering losses, he handed over the essence stone first. Anyway, only one was handed over. They planned to go report back later. However, they were about to leave when they were stopped by Levi. The young brother immediately became nervous. What are you going to do? Are you going to go back on your word? Levi looked at them coldly. Do you really think I would stoop to searching them one by one? The young men were stunned for a moment. Then they all suddenly realized. After Levi finished the robbery, the sky gradually darkened. Levi returned to the inn. The first thing he did was exchange the essence stone he extorted for 20 barrels of bamboo wine. There are a total of 57 people in the class. Levi has 56 essence stones in hand. With today's reward and previous ones, he has a total of 79 pieces. Just maintaining the expenses of the wine worm has already used up half of them. In the future, more essence stones will be needed to support it. It seems like robbery and extortion, this no-cost business, will have to become the main operation. In Uncle's home, Uncle was furious after learning about what had happened. He didn't expect Levi to be so heartless, not even sparing his younger brother. It's despicable. Well, it's just an essence stone after all. You can go to the accounting office to get another one. Wait until Liam leaves. Aunt beamed with joy. That's great. I think Levi is likely to be expelled. Uncle shook his head repeatedly and sighed. I think not necessarily. He may not even receive any punishment. Our world has no boundaries. It is precisely in need of such combative individuals. So as long as he doesn't cause serious consequences, Fighting or violence might even be encouraged. Besides, taking only one piece of essence stone per person is within the tolerance range of the academy. If he takes more, I'm afraid the elder will have to intervene. Ant asked in confusion. He hasn't faced any consequences for taking so much. This large amount of essence stone is of great help to him. Please think of a solution. Uncle sighed again. What can we do? Can I really snatch it back myself? Isn't that a joke? Now all we can do is continue to instigate Liam to use him to fight back. The younger brother found himself in a dilemma for a moment. Brother made a big mistake this time. It's inevitable that he might be expelled. Should I plead for him when the time comes? At this moment, there are two little people fighting a fierce battle in his mind. One little person fiercely said, "What are you begging for? He even wants to snatch you, this young brother. This is a self-inflicted disaster." But another little person said that he is your real older brother. Even if you don't recognize him, you still have to plead for mercy. Otherwise, how will others see you? Liam punched the wall in anger and said, "What should I do now?" 3 days passed like this. The robbery and extortion incident involving Levi did not escalate or become a big deal, because the parents of these teenagers refused to stand up for them. So the matter naturally came to an end. Their focus also shifted back to Cultivate. Martial art master is very satisfied to see them cultivating so diligently. Just when he caught a glimpse of Levi out of the corner of his eye, he was suddenly overwhelmed with anger. He turned to the academy elder to complain, but the elder just smiled faintly and said, "The student you mentioned is the driving force behind their hard work in cultivation." For days passed in a blink of an eye. The academy elder distributed essence stones as subsidies once again. It was also time for Levi to take action again. The students who were blocked at the door were furious. They were not satisfied with just one round of grabbing, and now they wanted to grab a second time from us. Moon Michael took the lead and stepped forward. "Levi, you have gone too far. I want to challenge you." However, when he was ready to strike a pose, Levi swiftly moved to his side. He casually delivered an elbow strike and knocked him down. Moon Cameron acted upon seeing this, roaring as he charged towards Levi. However, the next moment he followed in Michael's footsteps. He was kicked by Levi and sent flying far away. Liam also felt confident. He dashed over with a loud cry. As a result, almost 2 of his front teeth were knocked out. The others realized that it was no longer possible to fight one by one. They gritted their teeth and huddled together. They rushed towards Levi in unison. However, Levi's combat experience was countless times greater than theirs. Although just cultivated, every bit of strength was used with precision. 1/4 of an hour later, on the ground lay a large group of people, both men and women. Levi strolled away casually with a bulging money pouch. He returned to the inn and ordered a meal. He finally breathed a sigh of relief and started to calculate. Including today's harvest, he already has more than 90 essence stones. Sure enough, this kind of legitimate trade makes money quickly. Fortunately, the major forces balance each other out, so no one has made a move. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to proceed so smoothly. Levi was happily eating. Suddenly, the inn's door was kicked open with a bang. "Who is Levi? Stand up and show yourself to me." Levi's hand paused in midair. He glanced sidelong at the person. That person seemed to have planned it all along. He walked straight up to Levi. He sneered and spoke. "You must be Levi. I finally found you. Do you know that a disaster is looming over you?" Levi only glanced at him when he entered, then ignored him afterwards. The burly man gritted his teeth. The feeling of singing a solo made him feel extremely embarrassed. He directly flipped the table. "Do you still have the mood to eat here? You have injured young Master Michael of my family. Miss Nova is now looking for you everywhere to settle the score. You are doomed today." A few hours ago, was assigned a reconnaissance mission by the family. Nova just returned home after being away for more than 10 days. She unexpectedly learned from the maids that her younger brother was being bullied. In the backyard, Moon Michael angrily struck a punch on the wooden stake. I practiced basic martial arts diligently for 7 days in a row, only to be knocked out by Levi after using just 2 moves. What a shame. A soft laugh was heard at this moment. Does young brother have a deep feud with a wooden puppet? Why use so much force? Upon hearing this familiar voice, Moon Michael felt joy in his heart. Sister, you're back. Moon Nova gently touched his cheek. Young brother, what happened to the scars on your face? Who bullied you? Michael's face showed a hint of panic. It's nothing. I fell accidentally while walking. Miss Nova, who knew what had happened, squinted her eyes slightly. She didn't ask any further. Originally, she was not sure who did it. But after she glanced at the portrait on the wooden stake, she knew that this matter was definitely related to Moon Levi. Nova turned around and headed to the library. Moon Mason said lightly with his back to her, You're back. How did the reconnaissance of Wolf Lair go? Nova happily bounced in and said, Grandpa, do you miss me? Yes, Grandpa. Young brother got hit by someone. I asked him, but he wouldn't say. Unexpectedly, Moon Mason's face turned serious. You haven't answered my question yet. Nova had to put away her playful expression. Wolf Lair is almost full. At this rate of reproduction, although there won't be a wolf wave this year, there will definitely be a disaster next year. Moon Mason asked again. This is not surprising. There is basically a wolf wave every 3 years. How many Thundercrown Alpha wolves are there this time? Nova replied, There are about 3. Moon Mason nodded. If that's the case, there is nothing to fear. Moon, White, and Bear family. Each dealing with one can defeat the wolf wave. At this time, Nova couldn't help but ask, You haven't told me about young brother yet. Moon Mason smiled and said, There's no harm in telling you. Michael was beaten up. It happened once 7 days ago, and today is the 2nd time. Both times, he was knocked unconscious at the entrance of the academy. Levi really hit him hard. Nova glared unhappily and said, Grandpa, what are you saying? Michael is your own grandson. Moon Mason chuckled and said, Nova, I know you've always cared for your young brother, but this time you shouldn't interfere. Failure and shame can drive one to progress. Isn't it a good thing that he started to work hard and cultivate himself after setbacks? If you truly want to care for him in a meaningful way, then don't interfere with his growth. Besides, this is the norm. If you bully the small with the big, others will look down on us. In a man's life, family, friends, and lovers may come and go, but the rival is indispensable. Leave this rival to Michael. Nova opened her mouth to speak several times, but under Moon Mason's gaze, she eventually lowered her head. She left the study with her head bowed, and not even Moon Michael noticed. Her eyes were always shining with a different light. Grandpa, this is your way of loving your grandson. And I, Nova, also have my own way of taking care of my young brother. The middle-aged man kept sneering. He looked Levi up and down with a hint of a compelling aura. And Waiter huddled in a corner, puzzled as he asked, Is this guy insane? A mortal dares to challenge a Goo Master. Beside him, someone disdainfully chuckled and said, Don't think too highly of Goo Masters. Although Goo Masters at the first enhanced intermediate level are stronger than mortals, Levi is currently only at the first enhanced beginner level. If they really fight, he may not necessarily be able to beat this physically strong and skilled mortal. Besides, David is a thug from the Mason family, relying on his powerful background to bully others. If it were someone else, who would dare to have such courage? Anyway, no matter how you look at it, Levi may be in big trouble this time. David saw that his words did not scare Levi and coldly shouted, You're just acting calm for now, you little brat. You'll see what's coming for you soon. Just then, a clear and proud female voice came from the doorway. Have you found Levi? Nova strode into the inn with big steps. Behind her trailed a group of tough guys from her family. David immediately stumbled forward and knelt down to bow. Your servant pays respects to Nova. Levi glanced at her sideways. His gaze fell right on the square iron piece embedded in her belt. The piece was inscribed with a prominent number 2. Nova started off aggressively with a strong demand. Hey Levi, it seems like you are enjoying your meal. I wonder if you have ever tasted a fist. Maybe it's even more delicious than what you are eating. Levi chuckled. Who told you I am Moon Levi? Nova was stunned. He turned his head to look at David. David stuttered and didn't know how to reply. Master, I. At that moment, Nova had such a guess. So he is Moon Liam. No wonder he looked so confident. Damn, David didn't investigate clearly and made me lose face. Let's see how I'll deal with you when I go back. At this moment, a man shouted loudly. He is Levi. Look at the bag by his feet. It must be the essence stone extorted today. Levi turned his head to give him a glance. He was not happy that he was seen through. Nova's face darkened at this time. She slowly walked towards the bag containing the essence stone. She planned to open it to verify the truth of what he said. Unexpectedly, Levi said lightly, You want to find Levi, don't you? Follow me. I'll take you to the academy to find him. Nova hesitated because Levi was too calm. A teenager of a dozen years could hardly fake such a demeanor. Moreover, even if the bag contains essence stones, it cannot be confirmed with 100% certainty that he is Levi Liam, the rising star of the family. I don't want to offend him. I'll follow closely behind him all the way, and I'm not afraid of him running away. In an instant, Nova made a decision. Okay. I'll go to the academy with you. The group soon arrived at the entrance of the academy. Only the 2 guards at the entrance stopped them. Halt. The academy only allows Gu masters of the same clan to come and go freely. Nova opened her mouth to rebuke. How dare you? Don't even recognize me? The guard hurriedly forced a few laughs. We will always remember you. You know the clan rules. Let's do this, Mississippi. You are allowed to bring 1 slave. This is our biggest concession. Although somewhat reluctant, Nova doesn't dare to openly violate the clan rules. After some consideration, Nova entered with David and Levi. Levi's expression remained calm. He arrived at the dormitory door, unlocked the latch, and pushed the door open. The room was neat and tidy. The furnishings inside were simple and plain. There was no one else inside. Nova's face darkened slightly. You better explain clearly. There's no one in this room. Levi smiled slightly. Am I not a person? Nova fixed his gaze on Levi, his eyes flashing. I'm looking for Moon, not Levi. Levi chuckled lightly. I never said that. I am not Moon Levi. Nova's anger surged. She finally realized that she had been played by Levi. What audacity. He even dares to deceive your grandma. As she spoke, she reached out with her right hand to grab Levi. Levi stood his ground without taking a step back. He sneered twice and said, Nova, you better think carefully. Nova's movements halted. His outstretched right hand hung in the air. However, a hint of hesitation and anger flickered across his face. Levi continued, There are specific regulations within the family. Students at the academy are protected. No one is allowed to intrude into the dormitories and capture students without authorization. You must be aware of this, right? Nova's eyes were filled with anger. If I were to violate the family rules alone, that would be one thing. I'm afraid of implicating my grandfather and bringing trouble to the family. Levi smiled slightly. Besides, I have never lied to you. I said I would help you find Levi, and now you have found him. Go ahead and say whatever you need to. I'm listening. Nova suppressed her anger. Levi, oh Levi, you seem to have studied the family rules very thoroughly. But you can't stay out of the dormitory forever. I want to see how long you can hide. Levi turned and walked away. Then I want to see how long you can block me. It's already nighttime. I have a bed to sleep in. And you? If my presence is missing in the classroom the next day, and the academy elder comes looking for me, what do you think I will say? Nova was furious. Do you really think I dare not come in and get you? Levi completely opened the door of the dormitory room. He said to Nova provocatively and candidly, Then go ahead, make your move. Stimulated by this, Nova instead calmed down. But she still couldn't understand why. Clearly, she could have reached out and grabbed him with just one hand. But in her own eyes, it seemed as if there was an insurmountable gap. Levi no longer paid attention to him. Such people are the most pitiful. Because sometimes what hinders one's actions is not material difficulties, but the shackles of the soul. People try every means possible to study and understand the world. Knowing the rules means to utilize them, not to be bound by them. Otherwise, you have cultivation but cannot do anything to me. Nova hates that Levi actually cultivates in front of her face, completely disregarding her. She angrily yelled, Levi, you little brat! If you dare, come out! You have the ability to snatch the essence stone. Don't hide inside and stay quiet. I know you're showing off. If you're a man, dare to take responsibility. Don't act like a coward. What's the difference between you and a shrinking tortoise? However, no matter how harshly she scolded, Levi never paid any attention to her. Nova was so angry that she stomped her foot. After scolding for a while, she felt none of the usual satisfaction of cursing someone, but instead felt increasingly suffocated. She began to feel more and more like either a clown or a scold. In the end, she went crazy and gave up her so-called provocative approach. Origin C experiences the ebb and flow, with waves rising and falling. Windworm refined Levi's beginner-level true origin to intermediate level, which can help make up for his own lack of aptitude to a large extent. Ordinary students usually use First Enhance to cultivate the beginner-level true origin, but you can achieve at least twice the efficiency with the intermediate-level true origin. At the same time, the Moon Blade he unleashes with intermediate-level true origin is more powerful than the one activated by beginner-level true origin. This will be my current biggest reliance. He slowly opened his eyes. The night breeze began to stir, bringing a sense of coldness. David, who was still waiting outside the door, heard the movement. He immediately woke up. Hey kid, you finally opened your eyes. Come out quickly. Whether you show your head or not, you'll face the consequences. You hit our young master Michael. Being scolded by our young lady is just a matter of time. Levi squinted his eyes. It looks like that second enhanced goo master has already left. Seeing Levi's lack of response, David threatened. Are you listening? Get out here now. You have a room to stay in and a bed to sleep on. I have to stand here in the yard waiting. Do you believe I will just barge in? Levi remained indifferent. If you could come in, you would have come in earlier. Forget about him. Let's just focus on replenishing true origin first. He took out an essence stone and held it in the palm of his hand. Then he slowly closed his eyes. However, David seemed to be addicted to cursing. You are still cultivating. Your mere grade 3 aptitude is at most just a first enhanced goo master. How can a trash like you compete with our Mason family? Kid, are you deaf? Can you hear me talking or not? Levi turned a deaf ear. After about half an hour, he absorbed the essence stone in his hand. The limitations of grade 3 aptitude are indeed too great. 3 essence stones were used up in just one night, although there are still many essence stones now. However, they cannot withstand the long-term consumption of cultivation. Forget it. In order to pursue the speed and efficiency of cultivation, he naturally has to pay the price. Let's deal with the current situation first. Thinking about this, he got up and walked out. David coldly said, You finally came out. I've been waiting for you for so long. Levi continued to walk towards him expressionlessly. Just as he was about to approach David, Levi suddenly leaped violently, raised his fists, and charged towards David. David is now full of anger. He swung his fist the size of a sand bowl and met him head-on. Levi knew that he is not a match in terms of strength. So, He continuously looked for weaknesses on David, leveraging his advantage in speed. This David has reached the peak of mortal martial arts with my current body. Only Moon Gu can fight now. David grits his teeth even when passively getting beaten. This dog is too sinister. He acts as soon as he speaks. He almost got hit in the vital spot by him. No wonder the young master can't beat him. We must not fall for his tricks. After blocking Levi's attack several more times, he seized the opportunity and smashed down with a punch. The ground where the fist landed was sunken 3 points. But Levi was much more agile than him. David simply couldn't grasp that fleeting opportunity. And he couldn't hurt Levi either. Otherwise, he would definitely be torn apart by the Moon family. However, Levi is still just a child no matter how capable he is. His physical abilities cannot possibly surpass mine. As long as I capture this kid, I will achieve great success. By then, the young lady will surely reward me. However, in the moment he was distracted, Levi quietly arrived before him. His 2 fingers were like iron pliers, heading straight for his eyes. It's also fortunate that David's basic skills are quite solid. While leaning back, he reached out to block the attack. Then, he took the opportunity and countered with a palm strike. Just as Levi backed off in an instant, he quickly caught up by utilizing his physical abilities. However, Levi was like a monkey, targeting David's vital points relentlessly. His methods were ruthless, making David break out in cold sweat. This is the limitation of ordinary people practicing martial arts. Levi's brief advantage will not last long. He is already panting in the midst of the martial arts entanglement. On the other hand, David's breath still remains long and deep. Levi knew he couldn't drag it on any longer. His heart stirred. He activated True Origin while leaping back. David's expression immediately darkened. "Kid, you used Goo Worm in battle at the academy. This is a violation of the clan rules." Levi sneered. "So what if I violated them?" He immediately thrust his palm into the void against David. The blue moon blade shot towards David's face. David gritted his teeth. He raised both arms together in front of his face, forming an arm shield. The moon blade hit his arm, and blood splattered instantly. David was in so much pain that he almost passed out. The moon blade enhanced by the beginner level can only hurt my flesh and blood at most. As long as it doesn't hit any vital parts, it will be fine. However, at this moment, Levi is approaching once again. He closed his 2 fingers together and stabbed directly at the wound on his arm. David let out a soft hum. He gritted his teeth and decided to go all out. Levi frowned. Indeed, the power is still too weak. It looks like I have to use the intermediate level True Origin. He stepped back and opened up his stance. Levi also activated the True Origin in his palm at the same time. A moon blade strike was smoothly and effortlessly thrown out by him. David thought it was the same kind of moon blade with moderate power as before. He didn't dodge or evade directly. He went straight up with his fists crossed in front of his chest. However, when Moon Blade chopped down on his arm, that kind of excruciating pain was nothing compared to the 2 moon blades just now. Even he could feel that even his own bones were broken. David was suddenly hit hard. His fighting spirit completely disappeared. He thought about retreating decisively. Levi sneered coldly. "Can you escape?" David shouted for help while running away. His voice echoed far in the silent academy. The sound alarmed the nearby academy guards. They chose to stand idly by and watch instead of taking action. At this moment, the several moon blades thrown by Levi once again hit David's heart. David's heart completely turned cold. He screamed at the guards ruthlessly. "You bastards! We are all outsiders! You can't just stand by and watch someone die!" Levi arrived from behind. His voice was cold as ice. "Scream all you want. Even if you scream your lungs out, no one will come to save you." As he spoke, he flipped his hand, and 2 moon blades shot out in succession. They hit David right in the neck. David only felt a chill in his heart. It was as if he had taken a step into an abyss. The next moment, he felt as if his vision suddenly spun around. He actually saw his own feet. Afterward, he ushered in complete darkness. The guards only then realized the seriousness of the situation. Levi had killed someone. They all shuddered, feeling a sense of shock and terror. Levi's expression was calm, as if he had just done something as simple as eating and drinking. He was staring at the wounds on David's body, his face slightly darkening. These wounds are enough to expose the secret that he possesses the intermediate-level true origin.